Hello, everyone. My name is Fred Niehaus. We're going to talk a little bit about the AP4800. In the next few slides, I'd like to cover our current product line of APs, explain a little bit why we designed this 4800, and get into the mechanics of it just a little bit. So currently we have 11 products in our indoor portfolio for access points. You know, we've been making APs for over 20 years. These particular APs, when we design them to run, to be able to sell for 5 years and have them run another 5 years after that. So they're very well built. We've got them across the spectrum from the 1850 and the 1830 series, which are the entry-level access points that run on the older PoE-style powering systems of like 15.4 watts, 802.3 AF. And then we have higher performance access points, the 28, 38, and now the new 4800 series AP. So I want to talk a little bit about what we've done with the 4800, how we've incorporated all the things in the 38 into the 48, and kind of understand a little bit how it solves different problems that people have. So when we designed the 3800 series AP, the previous one, customers had a lot of 2.4 gig coverage over coverage. They put an AP in, and if they put 10 or 15 access points in, they'd turn off a couple of the 2.4 radios. The 38 had a dual 5 gig, which really helped on performance. Well, we took that feature, that dual 5 gig, incorporated it into the 4800, and also that we had a lot of customers using our proven hyperlocation technology for wayfinding, things like that, location determination systems. And we took that also, and in the past, people had to choose, well, am I going to put hyperlocation in and for analytics, asset tracking, wayfinding, or am I going to put the latest Wave 2 AP for high performance and dual 5 gig? Well, some customers ended up needing wayfinding far more important, so they put in the 36, 3700s. Now you can do both. What we've done is taken the best features out of the 3800 and the best out of hyperlocation and put them together. So here's the slick on this thing, the sales marketing slide, if you will, that talks about that. So if you look at that for just a moment, you'll see that this is now an analytics-enabled, DNA-ready access point. So it's a very powerful AP, and we're going to get into why that's powerful. But if you take a look at what's in this AP today, rather than read this off, I'd like to kind of talk a little bit about what's in it. So this new 4800 has that full hyperlocation antenna array, that 16-element antenna array that can do wayfinding, location, tracking, whips, WIDs, security, everything in that. To benefit that antenna array, we've added a new flexible receive-only radio. So now this AP has not only all the features 3800, which is the dual 5 gig, but it has an additional radio just specifically for analytics. We can do real-time visibility in DNAC. We can do location, everything with that. And the previous 3800 product lacked the Bluetooth Low Energy beacon that we put in a lot of our other APs, so we put that in here as well. So you've got hyperlocation, BLE. Down at the bottom is just some of the software that's needed to support this AP. Because it's a newer AP, of course, you need the newer software to have that AP run. I want to go back a little bit to what made the 3800 as good as it is. And the 3800 had the dual 5 gig radio, which we've moved into the 4800 as well. But why is that important? Well, if you look at like a single 5 gig channel, if you've got a single 5 gig channel and you have a lot of clients on there, close clients, far away clients, the close ones connect at a very, very fast speed, and the farther away ones connect at slower speeds. And the problem is the slower speed clients drag down those faster speed clients, right? Because they're all in the same channel and they're in contention with each other, so which is normal. But the utilization on a typical channel like that might be, say, 60%. So if you had a channel with mixed clients, close by, far away clients also, and you had 60% utilization, if you could then use 2 channels instead of 1 in the 5 gig and create a microcell, a smaller cell, to pick up those close by clients and let them move as fast as they can, and then keep your macro cell that you had originally, and let that one pick up the slower clients. What happens is all the clients connect at a more uniform speed. So the ones that connected at the slower speed far away are now connected with others at that same slower speed or roughly the same. And the retries and the weighting and the contention all go down. So does the access point channel utilization. So where you had one channel at 60%, you've now got two channels both at 20 and 24%. So the takeaway there is that those channels are not as crowded. People get faster throughput. Then when you look at things like client link and and the things that we've put in the AP to keep those clients with a very robust connection, it really makes a big difference. In the Hyperlocation product, the previous 3600, 3700 series APs that had the module upgrade, you put the module and Hyperlocation array on, that served a lot of core functions, things like wayfinding, navigation, digital advertising, the airports, knowing where the security gate is. Maybe the one that you're in front of is so busy, the one behind you, 200 feet behind you or 50 feet behind you, has got no one in it, right? Understanding and being able to give people real-time information and analytics is one of the nice things that we were able to do with Hyperlocation. So we moved that technology into the 4800. So if you look, as I mentioned before, you needed the Hyperlocation antenna array on the left, and you needed the module before, and the 3800 with its dual 5 and everything. We've taken all of that and put it into one AP. So the takeaway with that is that the Hyperlocation AP was about a foot all the way around, and 12 inches all the way around. We've shrunk that down to 40% smaller, and we've put everything that was in both the Hyperlocation AP and the 3800, all the antenna systems, all the technology, all into one AP. So let's take a look at that. Since that essentially has two APs and mixed together into one, it's very powerful. So when it comes to the design of this thing, think of it like the 3800, only far more powerful. What we've added to it is we've added that Hyperlocation array and a special DNA analytics monitoring and location radio. Notice the fingers on the bottom of that board look a lot like the module port on the older 3800. Well, what we've done is we've basically taken that module port and integrated this analytics radio into that AP, making everything just far better and more powerful. So the 4800 is indeed our very best-in-class, best-performing access point. When you're powering the access point over Ethernet, using PoE power over Ethernet, there's two types of Ethernet powering schemes. There's more than that, but the legacy one was 15.4 watts, 802.3 AF. That is why we have such a wide product line of APs, because we have APs that run on that older PoE scheme. The 1815 series, the 1830 and 1850 series will run on that. But these newer APs that are far more powerful, they need 30 watts. So the 4800, in order to run, needs 802.3 AT, the higher 30-watt powering scheme. And if you have an AT power system, for the AP, then it comes up just fine, but MGig port is not on, and we've disabled the USB port for power because we just don't have enough power with this AP at 30 watts. If you use MGig, and pretty much anything that's MGig out there is UPoE. UPoE gives us up to 60 watts power, so we can take that extra 2 watts we needed to turn all the features on, including extra power for the USB port if there's something you want to power off USB, or if you want to use the full functionality of the MGig port and the auxiliary port, then you just use the MGig port with UPoE. If you have the local power supply, there's a jack on there for the local 100 AC to DC power supply. It will run fully at 28.7 watts. So looking at it on the ceiling, it's slightly larger than the 3800, but that's because it has this Hyperlocation antenna array built into it and an extra radio. but it's very you might hear people say, well, gosh, that AP feels a little bit heavy. Yes, it is heavy. It's a Canon. It's a very powerful AP. It's got a lot of radios in it, a lot of technology built into it, but it only weighs 5.6 pounds or 2.54 kilograms. The ceiling rail that it's mounted to can hold, I mean, this AP weighs a quarter of what that rail will hold without a support wire. So, I tell people this is an infrastructure device. It easily sits on that ceiling. It's not something you put in your shirt pocket. We've got APs that will fit in your shirt pocket if that's what you're looking for. But this particular AP, easily mounts to that ceiling without a support wire. If you have a customer that's concerned about weight, they can put a support wire on the back of it, or we have options with Oberon to mount the AP flush into the tile. So looking at the back of this AP, you're going to notice, unlike the 3800, there are 2 extra feet on the very end of the AP. Those 2 feet are not needed for the bracket system at all. We just put those on there because we wanted the access point to sit on a table and not scratch the table and not wobble or have a problem. So they're just kind of support feet for when sitting on a tabletop. But all the features that were on the 3800, the ability to lock it into the bracket with a padlock or tie wrap, all of those things are supported. Let's take a little look here at the antenna system on this AP. This is probably one of the most advanced antenna systems you're ever going to find on an access point. And I don't think anybody has anything that can even touch this. So if you look at it, I mentioned that we did dual 5 gig. The way that we do dual 5 gig is the far corners of this AP. If you look at the top left here, the far corners have dual band macro large wide cell antennas, and you can see the pattern on that thing. That signal just comes down and goes out everywhere. When you choose, and that happens on 2, 4, and 5 gig by default. When you choose to do dual 5 gig, then what we do is we put the 5 gig macro cell on those corner antennas, and then you'll see the other antennas on the very corners are the microcell antennas. They actually, if you look at the heat map on that, they actually push the energy directly downward to create that microcell, right? So you've got macrocell antennas, microcell antennas. Then you've got a 16-element digitally switched antenna array. This is amazing, this antenna system, because there's antennas completely around the AP. So when a phone or a Wi-Fi device or anything comes on the air, we can hear that on that antenna array and know exactly where it's coming from. So when you put 3 or 4 of these APs up on a ceiling like this, like this blue screen here on the right, we can identify where that signal's coming from right to just a meter or two, which is amazing. There's nothing else out there in the market that can do that. But not only does this do this hyperlocation antenna array on this, but I've highlighted 4 corner antennas on the actual round array system. If you tell this AP you want to do security, DNA assurance, analytics monitoring, rather than use the array to see where it's coming from, which we can do, in the middle of this, we can switch and do this. But dynamically, we can stop the array from scanning all antennas, lock on 4 of them, and instead of becoming a directional array, it becomes 4 omnidirectional antennas. And those can just sniff in a 360 all the way around for analytics, like I said, monitoring, whips, WIDs, things like that. So this whole thing, this whole antenna system is also mounted on a robust metal plate on the bottom. The AP's metal, so the antennas all radiate very, very well. This is not a low-end AP. It's mostly plastic. It's a solid AP designed to run 10 years or so without fail. So there's a total of 25 elements on this antenna. If you look at the whole array right in the center, we've also put the Bluetooth low energy antenna on as well. So the timeline on this AP right now is, if you take a look, we're looking to set up orderability along about the end of April of this year, with FCS in early June. For more on this AP, I would suggest you check out the TechWise TV series at techwisetv.com. We did a taping of this and kind of did a little bit more in-depth presentation on this AP there. But that's the slides on the 4800 for now. Thank you for watching.